You know how Battletech rolls, it does what it does, and when it does it right, it's hilarious. Welcome to another Ouchies Batrep. During the fires of the Jihad, several coalition forces were forced to do engagements against each other, training exercises in force compositions that otherwise would never happen typically outside of the Jihad. But that's one of the great points about the Jihad, actually. You can just kind of randomly throw anything together and it's kind of fluffy, almost. And in this setting, when any faction would otherwise have a great reason to be shooting at each other, when you put them in a training exercise, guess what? When somebody has hot rounds and decides to fire them off at another enemy mech, congratulations, you've given them all the impetus to start shooting at each other in earnest as the Longbow off of the Blue 4 unit decides to tag the enemy awesome on the red side. Oops, we gotta get the quartermaster to take a look at that. If he survives. Blue 4, the good guys, that's us with the Clan Jade Falcon mechs, kind of begrudgingly helping the coalition move forward, has a very simple plan. We're trying to arc far to the south of the board over here with a bunch of light assets, and we're going to try to isolate as much as we can over here on the enemy side of the board. As you can see, we're already using our jump jets and superior maneuverability to get that Trebuchet, Grendal, Stinger, and a couple other mechs over there to isolate off the Viking, Locust, and the Champion over there. And it's going to be a really ugly fight, as just as soon as we start moving all our stuff over there, our buddy Hunter over there immediately realizes that he's being singled out because he doesn't have anywhere near the amount of forces to be able to respond with, even if the stuff that we have is considerably lighter. Meanwhile, along the middle of the board, we're trying to play a traditional assault game, trying to maximize our range advantage and move generally slow enough so that we can start signaling out and slicing the pie on what units that we can see and minimize the amount of firepower that we're getting back. While we are doing that, we are giving a clear order to the Fafnir to move in close as he can into the city structure, while the Goliath tries to escort him. Playing that long-range game to the north, we also have the Hellstar and MadCat Mark II, ready to put down that clan hate from a distance. And in response, Red 4 is sending a Marauder, Longbow, Awesome, and a rather nasty surprise, a mech known as the Venom. I had not encountered this design before, but it is actually a rather nice little light mech that is streaking up behind the hill, trying to take a defensive position to otherwise annoy us, but hey, we're smarter than that. We're just going to ignore it for as long as we can. Because our targets would be, and should always be in an assault-on-assault fight, the thing with the most ammo. So we're concentrating as much fire as we can onto that Longbow. Right now it has a rather piddly amount of movement mod, so that we can, hopefully tag it with as much rounds as possible, cause as many ammo crits as possible, and take out as much BV in the shortest time. All the while, he has a Thunder monstrosity in the back, notated right here, that is mounting an Arrow 4 platform. We've come a long way, and artillery has become a routine item in some of our matches now. Shots begin to trade in earnest as we decide to again focus down on the Longbow at long range. The Atlas, MadCats, and Hellstar begin making really long range shots at it. Mostly they just ding and singe the paint. Awesome decides to return fire, and wouldn't you know it, he rolls a 2, connecting it on the hit chart and managing to take 2 engine hits, putting the Hellstar into forced withdrawal. I have to admit, I was just a little salty, but that's just how Battletech rolls. So the most expensive and probably one of the most versatile units that we have on that section of the board is now going to turn around and just walk off because, hey, the engine's not looking great. It's got to check engine light. A few thousand volts of electricity would probably cause any engine light to go off, wouldn't you think? And on the southern board, as we move the Centurion forward to help emphasize the threat that we can pose down there, he ends up getting surrounded by a locust, gets a few back shots on it. Archer can't shake the locust off. He takes a PSR, falls down through armor, crit into the left torso, right into the ammo bin, taking the mech out as well. Oh, this is a lovely second turn. We've started the firefight, perhaps intentionally, but it's not going well for us now, is it? These venom-sucking genetic losers managed to build their own battle mech with parts that they found lying around. I would say blackjack and hookers, but I don't even think they had that. Can you guess what it is? That's right, it's the Reptar! A very cool design, very fluffy. I would never want to field one, but hey, that's what the Venom's for, right? I blame Stackpole. I mean, obviously, Jade Falcon is on the board, and I kinda like the Capellans, so therefore Stackpole is at fault for a giant explosion, ruining my day and showing us the back of Mr. Hunter. But we still got a plan. We can kind of game the forced withdrawal rules just a little. We're doing our best to get him off the board in good faith, but he has a significant heat issue, as 4 ERPPCs are wont to do with maximum engine damage. We decide to go ahead and start punching that clown button and fire all the weapons. I'm going to be able to buy myself at least one more turn of fire out of him as he runs away, but, you know, there's only so much you can do with that. We continue our flanking maneuver as the Fire Falcon swings aside, tries to get to the Thunder, and surprise, surprise, manages to meet several mechs back there that are willing to counter everything that I ever loved, because I just did not see them. In fact, at the end of the turn, the Fire Falcon very likely did not see them either, as his entire control board is going to light up with every error message that he could possibly have been trained for, and quite a few more that he had never seen before. Getting blindsided by a Thunder firing arrows over the sights and a Legacy, and just about everything else out there that can take a pot shot, you know, that'll do that. No movement mod in the world's going to save you from all of that, and heaven help you if it's artillery, because Arrow 4 over the iron sights is just downright terrifying. And it's around this point we also realize in that flanking maneuver that Viking isn't the normal Viking that you would normally expect with all the LRMs and the crazy knee machine guns. No! It's the MML version, making that thing terrifying in its own right and not something you can just kind of flank and ignore. You have to deal with it. Along the middle of the board, we go ahead and change strategies just a little, moving the clan mech forward. At least my opinion at this point is to bring all the medium lasers to bear off that MadCat, because we need to maybe challenge things just a little bit more, because we don't have the opportunity to engage things at range and then just do a long engagement over a statistical period of time that will allow us to just use the range advantage that we have, because we're getting our teeth handed to us pretty raw. And even if we wanted to play a ranged game, they've got maneuverability on us as the Venom leaps up from around the hill, gets behind the Atlas, and starts tearing it apart, while on the north side of the board we have other flanking elements, including what I believe is a Locust, if memory serves, and several scout tanks. Saracens, if also memory serves. But hey, we still have that Hellstar thundering away from the field looking for better conditions elsewhere. He's going to have a turn to be able to turn around and shoot, and he's going to end up plugging that Venom once or twice, but amazingly he does not put it down. All the while his buddy the MadCat Mark II throws a lot of rounds into the Longbow, manages to put a lot of damage, even connects with the Gauss rifle, but does not cause any significant crits. Manages to get one crit, but it does not confirm. Oh, that's harsh. Meanwhile, on the southern end of the board over here, they have successfully countered most of our thrust. somewhere between the Viking significant assets and the trebuchet and the locust maneuvering around. All of our assets are now tied up trying to deal with that for at least one turn or two before we have to deal with having nothing but back shots. So, you know, kudos on them for doing that. Atlas, however, takes it on the chin over here. He tries to hold himself down against an awesome Marauder, a Longbow, all kinds of light assets that are just taking pot shots at him. We're trying to redirect the Goliath over there to help them, but it's going to be a little too late, as the Fafnir is also a little too tied up trying to deal with a Bloodhound that is just sitting right around the corner. Now my buddies go against my digression to make the Atlas stand back up. I really told him to do it. Even though the Venom falls down right behind him and the Atlas is more or less out of commission, having failed his PSR and fell down, I suggest that he stands back up. But they pointed out, my buddies pointed out, that if he stands up, he's going to be taking on the full value of 3 other assault mechs, plus whatever decides to make other pot shots. So long as he stays prone right here, he actually has a much higher chance of living, and he can just take pot shots at around anything that he can see. And it's actually a brilliant move. That is definitely the play of the game. That's just a fantastic idea. So when the opportunity comes up, he actually makes the Atlas just sit there prone. Having had his fill of heat, the Hellstar is now at 2-3, and he's just lumbering off the field as slow as he can. There's a bunch of hovercraft zoom around him and all the light assets that are flanking our positions that we have done almost nothing to counter is now making a mess of things. Of course, they're just light assets, and they're not even high-hitting assets, not like what we had throwing into their rear lines. So we could ignore them, but it's still embarrassing. Once again, the Fire Falcon decides to show the better part of honor and turns around and runs away just as fast as he could. You know, nobody else saw it out there. None of those Stravog Intersphere dogs saw what happened. So, I mean, maybe it was the technicians. Clearly, the technicians gave him a broken mech full of high-velocity holes. And much to our dismay, there's actually a Challenger tank lingering around in that urban area, and we decided to go ahead and put some firepower on it as well, under the same concept as hitting the Longbow. We're just trying to cause a motive crit that causes it to become immobile, and then that should cause the crew to abandon under force withdrawal rules. And, you know, even the MadCat Mark II threw some LRMs at it, just hoping for, you know, some splashing, some damage over there on him. We also send the Grendal up on top of the roof. Is a quirk of the initiative that he just happened to have an opportunity to get up there. We're just trying to really buy time in such a way that we can redirect a few shots at him with his incredibly high to hit mod. And he's got quite a few rounds, and he's going to be making side shots on that Challenger. So, you know, that's another excellent strategy you might want to employ in your own games to, you know, just maximize those motive crits. Hellstar goes ahead and turns around and bears all his firepower onto the Bloodhound that is now lingering through the woods right over here. And we go ahead and turn the MadCat around and start walking him back, trying to, again, the term is slice the pie. We're just moving things back in such a way that we're denying avenues of fire from everything else that could hurt the MadCat. So we're just moving it back and shooting at the only thing that it can see. In this case, we singled out the Bloodhound, and we're just going to pump that thing full of rounds. In fact, we completely overkill it. The Hellstar manages to turn around with his heat mods and decides in one last defiant alpha strike to just rip the thing in half, managing to take the arm off, goes through the left torso and clears right through. And he doesn't quite core out the center torso, but he does cause enough engine hits, just losing the left torso, to put it out of action. But tit for tat, the Challenger goes ahead, pans its turret around, decides to shoot at the honorable Fire Falcon as it tries to leave the field, manages to connect with a few rounds, through armor crit right into the ammo. Center torso hit. There was only one place he could have hit that would have I mean, come on. So it goes up in a cacophony of explosions, and in return, the Grendal manages to cause a motive hit onto the side and causes it to immobilize. So, you know, I mean, we're trading 1 for 1 at least. And as we're about to wrap up turn 4, it is really, really grim as we are looking for any advantage that we can possibly salvage for ourselves, because this whole game has gone tits up the moment we started picking up our dice. In fact, we went ahead and decided to go ahead and death from above our trebuchet on the flanking action right into the Viking, hoping to get some sort of miraculous amount of damage off. Of course, it doesn't connect, but it comes so close. He needed like a 10 or something, and he rolled a 9, and it was just, oh. I mean, it wouldn't have killed the Viking. Odds are a trebuchet trying to DFA a Viking would just cause damage to the trebuchet. So, you know, I mean, it was pretty awful. The Thunder keeps firing off his arrow 4, but manages not to connect to nearly anything. It wasn't until he decided to go ahead and fire off the iron sights in this last turn that he manages to do a little bit of damage to the Fafnir. And if memory serves, he through armor critted that one as well. But the Fafnir, you know, shrugged it off because, hey, it's a Steiner mech. It's made of extra armor and reliability. It's got more engines to armor its engines. A Locust even manages to get into the rear arc of the Hellstar and tries to take a kick, misses, Charlie Browns, falls onto the ground, and I would love to say that he exploded, but that was not what happened. But at this point, the Hellstar could give zero cares about this because he is just so done with this fight. He is just so done. So done, in fact, his reactor decided for him, and thankfully he didn't fall down or anything. Go Hellstar pilot, right? And as we sort out the end of this turn, it is still incredibly grim. This scenario has gone south for us from the beginning. We go ahead and total up the points because it's turn 4 and we're all married and we have good places to be, and we realize that we're only about 200 BV difference. I mean, this is a 30,000 point game and there's a 200 BV difference. It's just a statistical anomaly. And we could actually keep going if we wanted to. But we go ahead and back and forth about it and, you know, just, you know, malarkey about who could kill who. And when it boils down to it, I'm willing to concede that our strategic advantage has been somewhat lost. This has been an Ouchies Batrep, and thanks for watching. It was a really, really close game. I would give, again, just a very slight edge that they're going to win this one. But, you know, I look forward to doing another one here soon.
Up again.
You know, we counted on you.
I shuffle these days.
You shuffled them.
But I didn't cut.
Hey, I'm glad to see that the bribe is paying off. Thank you.
F you.